Why are the kindest people always betrayed first? Why do fake people never look fake until it's too late? Here's the brutal truth. You weren't fooled because you were stupid. You were fooled because you were good. Fake people don't attack. They observe, they adapt. They become exactly what you trust. By the time you sense something is wrong, your time is gone, your energy is drained, and your boundaries are broken. Tonight, you'll learn how to spot them before they touch your life. Problem definition. Here is the danger most people feel but never define. Fake people are rarely hostile at first contact. They do not arrive with aggression or obvious malice. They arrive with warmth, patience, and apparent loyalty. That is why they pass unnoticed. The invisible enemy is not simple lying. It is calculated inauthenticity used with social intelligence. Fake people do not fabricate everything. They mix truth with omission strategically. They reveal enough honesty to earn credibility. Their goal is never connection. Their goal is access. Access to your time and attention. Access to your emotional openness. Access to your trust, resources, or protection. Once access is granted, behavior begins shifting quietly. Support becomes selective instead of consistent. Presence becomes conditional instead of reliable. Respect becomes negotiable instead of automatic. Most people miss this transition completely. They expect betrayal to feel dramatic. They expect danger to feel aggressive. Fake people feel reasonable and calm. They feel familiar, not threatening. Comfort becomes their greatest disguise. Comfort lowers alertness naturally. Alertness is the only early defense. Another problem is delayed harm. Fake people do not strike immediately. They wait until emotional investment forms. They wait until shared history creates hesitation. They wait until leaving feels expensive. By the time harm appears, attachment already exists. You remember the beginning more clearly than the present. You recall kindness louder than inconsistency. You doubt your instincts instead of their behavior. This hesitation protects them perfectly. It never protects you. Fake people also survive inside ambiguity. They avoid clear commitments intentionally. They resist direct definitions and boundaries. They prefer flexible roles and vague intentions. Ambiguity delays confrontation. Confrontation exposes patterns. Patterns end manipulation quickly. Another invisible danger is moral camouflage. Fake people borrow your values temporarily. They speak fluently about loyalty and honesty. They praise integrity while avoiding responsibility. You assume shared language means shared character. That assumption becomes the blind spot. Values are easy to perform verbally. Character is expensive to maintain consistently. Fake people also use guilt as leverage. They frame your boundaries as distance. They frame distance as rejection. They frame self-respect as selfishness. Slowly, responsibility shifts onto you. You begin managing their emotions. You adjust behavior to maintain peace. Peace becomes obedience without agreement. Connection turns into obligation quietly. Obligation drains energy silently. Many people blame themselves afterward. They say they were naive or careless. That belief is inaccurate and harmful. You were not careless. You were human. Human psychology evolved for cooperation. Trust once meant survival. Fake people exploit this ancient wiring deliberately. Modern culture strengthens this weakness further. We reward politeness over perception. We shame suspicion as negativity. We glorify empathy without limits. This creates perfect conditions for deception. The invisible enemy survives through confusion. Confusion delays decisive action. Decisive action ends manipulation immediately. That is why clarity threatens them. Fake people resist clarity instinctively. They resist honest conversations. They resist accountability disguised as peacekeeping. Once you name this enemy, everything shifts. Patterns replace emotional confusion. You stop asking why it hurts. You start seeing how it works. This awareness is not cruelty. It is self-preservation. Machiavelli never taught hatred, he taught preparation. Preparation prevents betrayal before it begins. Psychological explanation. Manipulation does not target ignorance or low intelligence. It targets predictable human psychology. Smart people trust patterns more than warnings. Fake people understand this instinctively. They build patterns that feel safe and familiar. The human brain prefers efficiency over accuracy. It looks for shortcuts that reduce mental effort. Fake people create those shortcuts deliberately. This creates cognitive ease. Cognitive ease feels like truth. Your mind relaxes when things feel smooth. Agreement feels smoother than disagreement. Familiar language feels safer than uncertainty. Fake people mirror you intentionally. They reflect your opinions. They reflect your emotional tone. They reflect your moral language. Your brain interprets similarity as trustworthiness. That interpretation happens automatically. Intelligence does not interrupt it. Another force is the need for belonging. Humans fear rejection deeply. That fear predates logic and reason. Fake people sense attachment forming. They introduce subtle distance suddenly. They become quieter or colder without explanation. Your nervous system reacts immediately. You feel tension before understanding why. You move to restore connection instinctively. That movement transfers power. Power belongs to whoever needs less. Intermittent reinforcement strengthens emotional attachment dramatically. Warmth appears unpredictably. Support disappears without warning. Your brain starts chasing clarity. Uncertainty increases emotional investment. This is not weakness. This is the same mechanism used in gambling. Unpredictable rewards create obsession. Fake people apply it relationally. Projection bias deepens the trap further. You assume others think like you. You assume honesty reflects honesty. You imagine their intentions match their words. Fake people rely on that assumption. They hide behind your integrity. Empathy creates another blind spot. You imagine their struggles sincerely. You explain behavior through imagined pain. Fake people notice this generosity quickly. They learn which stories soften your boundaries. They repeat those stories strategically. The sunk cost fallacy also plays a role. The brain protects previous investment irrationally. Time, effort, and emotion accumulate quietly. Leaving feels like failure. Staying feels familiar. Familiarity often wins. Identity attachment reinforces hesitation. You see yourself as loyal and patient. Walking away threatens that identity. Fake people exploit identity gently. They imply good people endure discomfort. They equate boundaries with abandonment. This creates internal conflict. Protect yourself or protect identity. Hesitation benefits manipulation. Stress weakens clarity even further. Fake people introduce emotional turbulence deliberately. Drama drains analytical capacity. Tired minds choose simple explanations. Simple explanations favor manipulators. Hope addiction becomes the final lock. Fake people promise future change vaguely. Vagueness keeps you waiting. Hope delays decisive action longer than fear. It sounds positive, but traps quietly. None of this means you lack intelligence. It confirms you have a human brain. Smart people rationalize discomfort more creatively. Machiavelli understood these patterns centuries ago. He observed behavior, not ideals. He trusted actions over promises. Power belongs to those who see clearly, not those who assume goodness universally. Once these mechanisms become visible, illusion collapses. You stop personalizing manipulation. You start recognizing systems and patterns. Recognition restores choice. Choice restores power quietly. Real examples. History repeatedly shows betrayal coming from trusted positions. Empires rarely collapsed from enemies alone. They collapsed from allies standing too close. Machiavelli studied royal courts carefully. He watched advisors praise rulers publicly. Those same advisors prepared private advantages quietly. Loyalty was spoken loudly. Betrayal arrived silently later. Kings feared visible enemies. They trusted friendly voices too easily. That mistake ended reigns more than battles. This pattern never disappeared. It only adapted to modern environments. Consider the modern workplace environment. A co-worker arrives friendly and cooperative. They agree with opinions during meetings. They avoid direct conflict consistently. They appear supportive without taking responsibility. People relax around them quickly. Private frustrations become casual conversations. Doubts feel safe to express nearby. Information flows toward them naturally. Later, tension appears unexpectedly. That same information resurfaces altered, always during performance reviews or promotions. They remain neutral while others appear problematic. They never attacked openly. They redirected narratives quietly. Confrontation feels impossible afterward. Friendships reveal another familiar pattern. The fake friend appears during emotional vulnerability. They listen when others seem unavailable. They offer comfort without challenge. Emotional reliance forms quickly. They become central to your support system. Boundaries begin to feel uncomfortable. When you pull back slightly, reactions shift. Warmth turns into subtle guilt. Understanding turns into silence. You feel responsible for their emotional stability. Growth changes the dynamic further. Your progress creates invisible tension. Compliments lose sincerity slowly. Support becomes conditional rather than constant. They celebrate less enthusiastically. They minimize achievements indirectly. Envy hides behind polite language. Romantic relationships magnify these dangers deeply. Fake partners mirror interests intensely early. Everything feels aligned effortlessly. Connection feels rare and powerful. Once attachment forms, consistency fades. Affection becomes unpredictable. Promises stretch without explanation. You work harder, restoring the beginning. Control appears disguised as concern. They question friendships under protective language. They discourage independence through worry narratives. Isolation develops gradually, never suddenly. Families also hide fake behavior patterns. Some relatives maintain closeness for benefit. Support appears when they need something. Responsibility disappears when you need help. They remind you of sacrifices repeatedly. They keep emotional scorecards silently. Gratitude turns into obligation. Social groups reveal similar dynamics. One person positions themselves as mediator. They manage conflicts selectively. They control information flow quietly. Others adopt their narratives unconsciously. Influence concentrates without official authority. When questioned, confusion protects them. Online spaces accelerate these patterns rapidly. Empathy becomes performance. Validation replaces accountability. Support exists until inconvenience appears. Fake people vanish once value disappears. Attention fades when usefulness declines. They move toward new opportunities immediately. Historical figures experienced identical betrayals. Trusted generals defected after gaining leverage. Advisors switched sides when power shifted. Philosophers warned leaders repeatedly. Machiavelli emphasized preparation over blind trust. He believed human behavior followed patterns. Those patterns remain unchanged today. Recognizing these examples removes self-blame. You stop asking why it happened. You start understanding how it happened. Patterns replace emotional confusion. Clarity replaces doubt. Fake people rely on invisibility. Once seen clearly, their influence dissolves. Practical takeaways. Protection begins by slowing access, not closing your heart. Trust should grow alongside consistent evidence. Fake people rush intimacy to bypass observation. Move slower than their enthusiasm suggests. Observe actions longer than you observe words. Words are inexpensive and easily adjusted. Behavior requires effort and reveals priorities. Consistency over time signals authentic character. Create small boundaries early without emotional explanations. Watch reactions instead of debating intentions. Respect appears as acceptance, not resistance. Manipulators push against limits immediately. Avoid over-explaining decisions affecting your time. Explanations invite negotiation and pressure. Healthy people accept simple answers calmly. Fake people demand justification repeatedly. Control emotional disclosure deliberately. Vulnerability should be earned, not assumed. Share gradually while observing confidentiality. Notice who protects your openness carefully. Listen to discomfort without rushing rationalization. Discomfort often arrives before conscious clarity. Your nervous system detects inconsistency early. Do not silence that information. Observe how they treat powerless individuals. Watch service workers and subordinates closely. Fake kindness collapses without audience or reward. Character appears when benefit disappears. Track patterns rather than isolated incidents. Single mistakes reveal little. Repeated behavior reveals everything. Patterns predict future actions reliably. Notice reactions to your success carefully. Genuine people celebrate without comparison. Fake people minimize, withdraw, or compete quietly. Envy leaks through subtle tone shifts. Avoid rescuing people too early. Let adults solve their own problems. Responsibility exposes maturity quickly. Avoid becoming indispensable unnecessarily. Use silence as a diagnostic tool. Reduce communication briefly and observe behavior. Healthy connections remain stable. Manipulative ones escalate urgency or guilt. Respond predictably to emotional pressure. Calm consistency weakens manipulation. Drama feeds on reaction. Predictability starves control tactics. Keep standards internal, not loudly announced. Fake people test flexibility repeatedly. Each concession teaches pressure points. Firmness teaches limits quietly. Exit early when patterns confirm deception. You owe no explanations for self-protection. Distance is not punishment. It is boundary enforcement. Avoid seeking closure from dishonest people. Closure often becomes another manipulation attempt. Leave quietly and cleanly. Peace replaces explanations eventually. Machiavelli understood selective trust deeply. He advised preparation without bitterness. Wisdom exists between openness and vigilance. Protection does not require cruelty. It requires clarity and emotional discipline. Fake people lose power when ignored. Your goal is conservation, not confrontation. Preserve energy, attention, and self-respect. Power grows quietly through restraint. When awareness becomes habitual, anxiety decreases. Doubt fades as patterns become familiar. Confidence grows through consistent boundaries. Fake people sense awareness quickly. They retreat when extraction becomes difficult. Their disappearance confirms your clarity. If this message felt uncomfortably familiar, trust that recognition. Awareness is the beginning of freedom. Apply these lessons quietly, without announcement. Protect your time, trust, and inner peace. Strength does not argue or explain. It simply walks away when necessary.